2 days after he was charged with the murder of 17-year-old Haresh Singh, 10 persons have come forward to plead the innocence of Glaston Henry, claiming that he was at his family's house at No. 3 Village, West Coast, Berbice, at the same time that Singh was killed. But what ties him to the murder is the alleged written confession of Philip Anderson, a family friend who lived at the same house. Anderson was reportedly there on September 9, 2020, the day Singh's battered body was discovered in the backlands. Investigating ranks have come in for strong criticisms for reportedly ignoring Glaston's alibi by attorney Nigel Hughes, who has since written to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Shalimar Ali-Hack, asking for a review of the charge in wake of signed statements from 10 eyewitnesses who verified Glaston's alibi. It was the Director of Public Prosecutions chamber that advised the police to charge Glaston, Anderson and 2 others for the crime. But according to Hughes, that advice was given in the absence of the signed statements of support for Glaston's alibi. He hopes that the DPP would give some credence to the statements of the 10 persons, including Glaston's mother, and reconsider her decision before the case is taken to trial.
We reminded the police that we have statements, and during the course of that evening, I emailed the Director of Public Prosecution indicating my very serious fears and reservations about the conduct of the investigation and expressing my firm view that miscarriage of justice was occasioned by the institution of these charges against Mr. Henry because, of course, once you are charged with murder, you are not admitted to bail.
Glaston is the brother of 16-year-old Isaiah Henry and the cousin of 19-year-old Joel Henry. Both teens were brutally maimed and murdered in September 2020. Their bodies were discovered on September 6 by relatives in Cotton Tree, West Coast, Berbice, after they were reported missing. Some family members of Haresh Singh were arrested as part of investigations into the murder of the Henry teens, but they were released as no evidence linked them to the crime. Singh's death has always been regarded as retaliation for the murder of the Henry boys. Meanwhile, Hughes, at the press conference held at his Cross Street Working Ross Georgetown office Thursday, said the contents of Anderson's confession were bare and bland.
Were you provided a copy of Mr. Anderson's statement?
Yes, we do have a copy of that statement. We certainly will make that available to you if you wish.
But at this time, can you say to what extent he provided details on Mr. Henry's alleged involvement?
It was a very bare, bland statement. They were there, they went in the morning, they stopped him on the motorcycle.
Like family members, Hughes is also concerned that the police never held a confrontation between Glaston and Anderson. Family members have also claimed that 2 members of the Guyana Police Force, one whom they identified as Detective Sarbo, was present at the house on the morning of September 9, 2020, and could also confirm that Glaston was there.
But all I want, I pleading with the whosoever listening now, my son is innocent, please lose him, because they destroy his character done. They take one of my son, please release the next one. Isaiah had 16, 18 wounds. He had just his skin, hold his neck. And which mother bear a child for 9 months and could see them? You don't have a heart? I cannot see my son from since he left the 5th. We find it is 6th. I go to the man, which I cannot go more. I tell him I start see dark and weak my son under the mango tree. I can't see my son. I see my son till on the 13th of September when anybody come in a box to me. Oh, nobody don't have heart out there. And now you come in and take the next one away. Where is it that I do to you, sir?
Hughes said Singh was murdered between 9:30 hours and 10 hours, the same time that the police ranks visited the house and reportedly saw Glaston. The Henry family and friends who signed the statements have rejected claims that Glaston could have left, committed the crime, and returned home. Tiffany Campbell, one of the women who claimed she was present at the Henry's house, told the news conference that she slept on the same bed with Anderson, her cousin, the night prior. She said they woke up and never left the house, claiming that they stayed to look at the broadcast of the autopsies of the Henry cousins, which was being streamed live. Campbell now questions the motive for Anderson giving what she regards as a false confession to the police.
Philip Anderson was where?
Was at home too.
On what day? The same day? The same day that Haresh Singh got murdered? Philip Anderson was at this home?
Yes,
As a,
we sleep together actually.
You-
But in the same
living
room.
there.
It was
you're going to say you slept
Glad,
together. You
yes.
slept at that house tonight?
Yeah, we sleep in the same room. He was on
You,
the floor.
Philip Anderson,
Yes.
and
Gladwin and Gladwin girl, and we sleep on the bed and he sleep on the floor.
that morning at about 9:30 and 10 when the murder.
All of us was together. We was preparing things. All of us was together. We was playing cards.
So what could be the purpose of the charges against Glaston? His mother, Patricia Henry, believes it may be to silence her. She said her push for justice for her son Isaiah have been unending threats. Her husband, Glaston Henry, believes the intent could be to drive fear.
It's so serious that they couldn't even call us and tell us, well, all right, we child need in custody of questioning. Well, let's put out bulletin. And I am saying that it's a drive fear in us for us not to go forward with the justice for Isaiah and Joel. There's no joke. You all know that. So we need justice.
According to Hughes, the rush to arrest and charge Glaston came after his mother appeared on a program aired on Facebook recently and made strong statements about her disappointment and lack of confidence in the police investigation into the murders that occurred almost a year ago. The family will now wait to hear from the DPP as to whether the charge against Glaston would be dropped. He is charged along with 3 others who all appeared virtually before Magistrate Peter Yu at the Fort Wellington Magistrates Court on June 29, 2021. They were not required to enter a plea to the charge of murder and were remanded to prison until July 12, 2021. The case was transferred to the Blairmont Magistrates Court. Those charged are 29-year-old Philip Anderson, called Ratman, of Number 3 Village, 27-year-old Joel Gittins, called Bolo, of Django Tang, East Coast Demerara, 27-year-old Glaston Henry, called Gladwin Henry, and Soldier Man of Number 3 Village, and 21-year-old Charles Scott, called Buku, of Jarvis Street, Rossignol, Berbice. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.